In the last 30 days, 7 million American families did something genuinely loving for their kids. They opened an account the government just launched, many of them with a free $1,000 from the Treasury sitting in it. And most of them are quietly thinking the same thought. This is how my kid gets a house someday. And almost none of them know that while that account was moving through Congress, somebody deleted one paragraph from it. One paragraph. And that deletion is the difference between the account being the down payment machine parents think they opened and what it actually is: a vehicle that will hand the IRS roughly $17,000 of your kid's house money at the exact moment they try to use it. I have read the paragraph. I am going to read it to you. And then I am going to show you the two-page fix, because there is one, and it is beautiful. First, understand who we are talking about, because this is not a story about rich families and their accountants. The Treasury Secretary stood up on July 27th and called this the most successful launch in government history: 7 million accounts. And his own next stat is the one that matters to this channel. 86% of the families enrolling make less than $200,000 a year. That is not Wall Street. That is the renter working toward a first house. That is the family whose kid will need every dollar of help to ever own anything in this market. In other words, the exact people watching this channel, doing the exact right instinct, saving for the kid, in exactly the wrong jar for that goal. And nobody at the launch ceremony, and I mean nobody, is paid to tell them. Let me back up and be fair to the account itself, because the bones of this thing are genuinely good, and I am not here to tell you the government is stealing your money. A Trump account works like this: your kid is under 18, you enroll them, and if they were born between 2025 and the end of 2028, the Treasury seeds the account with 1,000 free dollars. You can put in up to 5,000 a year. Your employer can kick in up to 2,500 a year on top, tax-free going in, and some of the biggest companies in the country, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, dozens more, have already started matching. The money has to sit in low-cost index funds tracking the American stock market. Fees capped at 0.1%. No meme stocks, no games. Free money, forced discipline, boring index funds. If I designed a savings vehicle, it would look a lot like this. So what is the problem? The problem is one word: when. The entire account answers the question of when your kid can touch the money, and it answers it in a way that was specifically rewritten before the bill passed. Which brings us to the 5 rules. Here is the structure of the rest of this video. There are 5 rules buried in the final text of this law: the actual signed statute and the IRS notice that followed it, not the press release. The first 4 decide what this account really is. And the 5th rule is not even a rule, it is an absence, the hole where the deleted paragraph used to be. And it is the reason I made this video. We will go in order. The biggest one lands last. And on the other side of it, I will run the full exit math on a real balance so you can watch the $17,000 leave. If your family opened one of these 7 million accounts, or is about to, do me one favor right now. Hit the like button. Not for me, for the algorithm. Because the families who most need the next 20 minutes are the ones YouTube has not shown it to yet. Rule number 1. Nothing comes out before your kid turns 18. Nothing. And I need you to hear how absolute that is, because every other savings vehicle you know has an escape hatch. A 529 has qualified expenses. A brokerage account is yours any afternoon. Even a 401k has hardship provisions. The IRS notice on Trump accounts says the opposite in plain language. During the growth period, no distributions, and hardship withdrawals are explicitly prohibited. The word is prohibited. Your family hits a rough patch at year 9. The car dies, the rent jumps, The money is right there on the statement. It might as well be on the moon. Here is why that matters for the house conversation specifically. Housing emergencies do not schedule themselves around an 18th birthday. The family that needs $8,000 to stop an eviction today cannot touch the $40,000 in their kid's account. This is a one-way vault with a 2-decade timer, and you need to know that before the first deposit, not during the rough patch. Rule number 2. On the kid's 18th birthday, this account does not graduate into freedom. It gets treated as a traditional IRA. And if your eyes just glazed over, stay with me, because this is where the trap actually lives. In one tax mismatch almost nobody catches. Your contributions went in after tax. You already paid income tax on that money. In a normal, traditional IRA, contributions go in before tax, and in exchange, everything is taxed as ordinary income coming out. The Trump account gives you the worst half of each. After-tax money going in, and every dollar of growth taxed as ordinary income coming out. Plus, if your kid touches it before age 59 and a half, a 10% penalty on top. Compare that to a plain taxable brokerage account, where long-term growth gets capital gains rates, 0, 15, maybe 20%, and for a young adult with a starter income, very possibly 0. Ordinary income rates versus capital gains rates on 18 years of compounding. That single sentence is worth thousands of dollars, and it is on page nobody of the launch coverage. Rule number 3, and this one is sneaky. The free money is the most taxed money in the account. The IRS notice draws a line between your contributions, which at least come back out tax-free as basis, and everything else. The $1,000 federal seed, the employer match, every dollar of market growth. None of that carries basis. All of it comes out as ordinary income. So the parts of this account everyone celebrates, the free grand, the corporate match, are precisely the dollars the IRS is standing next to with its hand out at the exit. Free money on the way in, taxed like a paycheck on the way out. Decades later, at whatever bracket your kid is in by then. Take the free money. Seriously, take it. But label it correctly in your head. It is retirement money the government kickstarted, not house money. Rule number 4. The only house-shaped door left in the wall. Once the account is under IRA rules, there is exactly one first-time homebuyer provision available. The same one every IRA in America has. $10,000 once per lifetime. And listen to what it actually does, because people hear homebuyer exception and think jackpot. It does not make anything tax-free. It only waives the 10% penalty on up to $10,000 of the withdrawal. The income tax is still due in full. And here is the detail that tells you everything about how Congress treats these numbers. That 10,000 figure was written into law in 1997, back when the median new house in America cost about $146,000. It has never been adjusted. Not once, through 29 years of home prices nearly tripling. Hold on to that fact, because it is coming back in the history lesson near the end, and it is the most important pattern in this entire video. Quick pause. If this is landing, subscribe. This channel exists to read the fine print the launch events skip every single week. And Rule 5 is the reason this video exists at all. Now, before Rule 5, the setup it deserves. Let me show you what this account actually builds, because the compounding is real, and I want you to feel the size of what is at stake. Say you do the full parent move, $250 a month, every month, from birth to 18. That is $3,000 a year, comfortably under the cap. At a 7% average return with the $1,000 seed, the account crosses the 18th birthday at $111,193. At 8%, it is over 120. That is a six-figure head start, built out of $54,000 of actual deposits. The machine works. The compounding is magnificent, which is exactly why what I read you next should make you angry. Because here is Rule 5. The version of this law that passed the House of Representatives had a paragraph in it, and I'm going to give it to you nearly verbatim. Between 18 and 24, the beneficiary could withdraw up to half the account for a short list of qualified uses: starting a small business, paying for school, and in black and white, the first-time purchase of a principal residence, a first house. And those qualified withdrawals were taxed at capital gains rates, not ordinary income. Full access at 25. That version of this account really was the down payment machine 7 million parents think they opened. The $111,193, half of it available at 22 for a first home, taxed at a young adult's capital gains rate, which for most starter incomes is 0 or 15%. We are talking about a couple $1,000s of tax, maybe less, on a $55,000 down payment. That was the bill in May of 2025. Then it went to the other chamber. And when the final text came back and got signed on July 4th, that entire paragraph was gone. No first home language, no capital gains treatment, no access at 18 to 24, just the vault, the IRA treatment, and the 1997 penalty door. Nobody held a press conference about the deletion. The launch ceremony had a bell. The deletion did not even get a footnote. And by the way, if you are sitting there thinking, wait, I read that these accounts could be used for a first house. I remember the articles. You did read that. You are not crazy, and you are not careless. In the spring of 2025, the coverage described the bill as it stood then. Half the account at 18 to 24 for a home, a business, or school, at capital gains rates, because that is what the House actually passed. The bill changed. The headlines mostly did not. And 14 months later, 7 million families enrolled, carrying a memory of a provision that no longer exists. This is how the trap actually works in real life. Nobody lied to you. The truth just expired, and no one sent a correction. So now, run the exit on the real numbers, the way it actually stands today. Your kid is 22. The account holds $111,193. They found a house. They are approved. They need the money. 54,000 of it is your old contributions. That comes out clean. The other 57,193, the growth, the seed, every matched dollar, is ordinary income to them. At a modest 22% bracket, that is about $12,600 in federal income tax. Then the penalty, 10% on the taxable amount, with only that $10,000 exception softening it, which pencils out somewhere between $4,700 and $5,200, depending on how strictly the IRS reads it. Add it up, roughly $17,300, and under the strictest reading closer to $18,000. Gone, out of a kid's down payment fund, at the exact moment they are trying to leave the rent trap. The deleted paragraph would have made that bill a couple thousand. The deletion cost your specific kid about $15,000. Multiply that by some meaningful slice of 7 million accounts, and you understand why I said this video had to exist. Comment the word paragraph if you had any idea that language was cut, because I have yet to meet a parent who did. Now the fix, and I will do it as an experiment. Imagine twins, born the same day. Twin A gets the Trump account play we just ran. Twin B's parents put the identical $250 a month into a boring S&P 500 index fund inside a plain taxable brokerage account, in the parents' names, earmarked for the kid's house. Same market, same return, same 18 years. Twin B's account also crosses the finish line around 107,000, a hair less because there is no free seed and the dividends got taxed a little along the way. Now both twins buy a first house at 22. Twin A's family hands the IRS $17,000 like we just computed. Twin B's family sells the index fund, pays long-term capital gains on the growth only at 15%, roughly $8,000, and very possibly less if they harvest gains smartly across 2 tax years or the parents' bracket cooperates. No penalty, because there is no penalty to waive. No age gate, because it was never locked. If the kid needs it at 20 instead of 22, fine. If the family needs it during an emergency at year 9, it is right there. Same discipline, same market, same monthly sacrifice, and Twin B keeps roughly $9,000 more of house money, plus every ounce of flexibility along the way. The jar mattered more than the saving. And here's the part where 17 years inside mortgage lending actually earns its keep. Because the objection I hear from every parent is, but the money has to be in the kid's name, right? For the mortgage? No. Emphatically, no. The lender does not care whose account the down payment grew up in. The lender cares that it is sourced and documented. On the day your kid buys, you gift it. FHA. The loan most first-time buyers actually use allows 100% of the minimum down payment to come from a family gift on a primary residence. Conventional through Fannie Mae, same story on a one-unit primary home. No minimum contribution from the kid's own funds at any loan to value. The paperwork is a one-page gift letter. Your name, your relationship, the amount, a statement that it is not a loan, plus a paper trail showing the money leaving your account and landing cleanly. That is it. That is the whole secret. I watched hundreds of closings funded exactly this way. And the bonus almost nobody prices in, money in the parent's name is far kinder to college financial aid. Parent assets get assessed at a little over 5% on the federal aid formula. Money in the student's name gets assessed at 20%. The house jar in your name beats the house jar in theirs, on the mortgage side, on the tax side, and on the financial aid side. It is a clean sweep. 2 quick side doors before the honest turn, because I know exactly which questions are forming in the comments. First, what about the 529, the college account? Better tax treatment, worse door. A 529 grows tax-free, but only for education. A house is not a qualified expense. Full stop. And pulling it for one means taxes plus a penalty on the growth. The same trap in a different color. The one elegant trick a 529 does have, if college ends up covered some other way, newer law lets up to $35,000 of leftovers roll into the kid's Roth IRA over time. Great feature, still not a down payment. Second, the UTMA, the old-fashioned custodial brokerage in the kid's name. It fixes the tax problem. Capital gains rates, no age 59 lock. But it detonates 2 new ones. The moment your kid hits the age of majority, the money is legally theirs. For a house, or for a very questionable year in Scottsdale, your call ends. And on the financial aid formula, it counts as the student's asset at that brutal 20% rate, which is the whole point of this section. Every jar in the store has a shape. The Trump account is shaped like retirement. The 529 is shaped like tuition. The UTMA is shaped like an 18-year-old's judgment. The house-shaped jar, it turns out, is the boring one in your own name. The parent-owned brokerage wins the house job not because it is fancy, but because it is the only one whose rules were written for flexibility instead of for a headline. Now, the honest turn. Because if I only told you the scary half, I would be no better than the launch ceremony. There are three places the Trump account genuinely wins, and they are not small. First, retirement. Left alone, this thing is a monster. Kiplinger ran the projection at the full 5,000 a year from birth at 8%, and the account clears $4.6 million by age 59 and a half. 4.6 million from an account opened before the kid could walk. As a retirement head start, it might be the best default vehicle ever handed to American families. Second, the free money is actually free. The $1,000 seed costs you nothing. An employer match costs you nothing. Turning down free compounding dollars because the exit tax is ugly in one specific scenario is bad math. Take every free dollar. Third, the forced discipline is a feature. No panic selling in a crash. No rating it for a kitchen remodel. Fees capped. For the family that would otherwise never save a dime, this account beats no account by a country mile. And it is reaching exactly the families, 86% under 200,000, who were never offered a private banker. So hear my position precisely. I am not anti-Trump account. I am anti-mislabeling. It is a retirement rocket wearing a house costume, and the costume is the part that was stitched on by wishful thinking after the paragraph got cut. Which leaves the question that should bother you. Why did 7 million families not hear any of this? Not a conspiracy, an incentive. Same as always. The people promoting the launch are measured on enrollments. The brokerages lining up to eventually hold these accounts are measured on assets. The employers matching are measured on headlines. Every single one of them is doing their actual job. It is just that nobody in that chain has the job of reading IRS Notice 2025-68 out loud to a family at a kitchen table. Reading the fine print pays nobody. Which, if you have watched this channel before, is becoming the theme of the entire economy. The information that would save you money is never hidden. It is just unmarketed because there is no commission on it. And the history lesson, because I promised the 1997 thing would come back. That $10,000 homebuyer exception has not moved in 29 years. It is not alone. The $250,000 and $500,000 home sale exclusions, also written in 1997, never indexed, now trapping ordinary sellers who just owned a home for a long time. The Coverdell Education Account, capped at $2,000 in 2002, never moved, now a museum piece. This is the pattern, and it is the real warning inside this whole story. Congress writes a generous-looking number. The press release runs, and then the number just sits there, while inflation quietly eats it for decades. The Trump account's $5,000 cap is at least scheduled to index starting in 2028. But the homebuyer relief your kid will actually rely on at that closing table is a 1997 number in a 2044 world. When your kid goes to use it, that $10,000 exception will be pushing 50 years old. Plan on the rule as written, not the rule as intended. Because as we just learned the hard way, the intention got deleted in committee. So here is the move. 4 steps. The same thing I would tell my own family. Step 1. Take every free dollar. Enroll for the 1,000 seed if your kid qualifies. Capture any employer match. And mentally stamp that account retirement. It is the best retirement head start your kid will ever get. It is not the house fund. 2 different jars. Step 2. Build the actual house fund in your own name. A plain taxable brokerage account, parent owned. Same boring index fund, $250 a month or whatever the budget honestly allows. That jar has capital gains treatment, 0 age locks, 0 penalties, and full emergency access if life happens. Step 3. When the day comes, gift it at the closing table. One-page gift letter, clean paper trail from your account, and remember the money should season in your account, not move through the kids' checking 3 weeks before closing. FHA allows the entire minimum down payment as a family gift on a primary home. Conventional on a one-unit primary, same. Do not let anyone tell you the money had to grow up in the kid's name. It did not, and it is better that it did not. For the mortgage, for the taxes, and for financial aid. Step 4. If the kid is close to buying age already, or if you are the one trying to get unstuck and into a first house, go take the free assessment at timtalksrealestate.com/assessment. 5 minutes. It maps exactly where you stand on credit, income, assets, and what a lender would actually say. And there is no pitch on the other side of it, because I do not sell loans. I just spent 17 years watching which families made it to the closing table. And the difference was never how hard they saved. It was whether anyone ever told them the rules. Here's what sticks with me. 7 million families did the right thing this month. They saved, for their kids, in the middle of the most locked out housing market in modern memory. And the system rewarded that instinct with a vehicle whose best feature for housing was quietly cut before the ink dried, and told no one. You cannot legislate your kid a down payment, apparently, but you can outread the people who wrote the law, and that costs nothing. If you made it this far, you are exactly who this channel is for. The parent who reads page 40 before signing page 1. Subscribe because every week we do the fine print the launch events skip. Like the video so the next parent sees it before the next deposit. And tell me in the comments, did you open one? And what did you think the rules were? Word for word. I read every single one. I am Tim, 17 years inside the mortgage machine. See you in the next one.